Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video here we successfully installed two of these packages on the React router and then React router dump, right? So also we have updated our routing option, which is totally fine, and there is now our page is loaded. Everything is looking great. So right now, as I told you before friend, that will be one of the total advanced level e-commerce projects. So for the advanced level e-commerce project, as I told you, I will manage all the tower component organizedly, and for the reasons better I want to do and to also create a different type of CSS file. Then that will be actually helpful because I don't want to add everything in our custom. So into the if you add all that your CSS, that this total project CSS in one place, then actually it will be very hard to find out a specific one of the class. For the reasons I want to do and to distinguish all the tower CSS. For now, I have already created the inner common as a footer at the nav menu desktop for the nav menu mobile. So for the nav menu desktop related all that file, that means all the CSS, I want to manage it another CSS in our another CSS. So here I want to the CSS folder, I want to create another one and I just name it as a nav. Okay, nav menu for the desktop. Okay, so I make it as a desktop dot css, and also I want to create another one. I want to create another one for the mobile, that will be the nav menu for the mobile. I hope you understand why I'm actually using it. So that all that our nav menu related mobile related everything I will save in here. So all that our CSS class I will actually add it in here. Okay, perfect. And also I want to add the slider, right? So for the slider related also I want to create another CSS. So I make it as a big slider. Okay, big slider and then CSS. Perfect. And also I want to add another one for the card. Okay, card related all that CSS I want to save is another CSS file. So I make it as a card.css, which is totally great. And then I want to create another one for the button.css, because here in our e-commerce project we will actually use a lot of the button related all the CSS. I will save it in here. Okay, and also the footer related CSS I want to use another one as a footer. So there is a footer.css. Perfect. There is a footer.css, and also for the manage all that our font for the font typography. For the typography I want to use another CSS as a type. Okay, typo.css. So friend, don't worry, step by step everything will be more clear. Just focus what exactly the things I'm doing. Okay, and also I'm trying to explain every functionality. I hope that will be not hard. Step by step everything will be more clear. So I have created that for the typography related all that CSS. I will add that classes in here, and also for the mega menu related CSS I will also manage it from here. For the reasons I want to create another one as a mega menu dot css. So mega menu related CSS I will work in particular this CSS area. So all that class I will add it in here. Okay, so there is a big slider, there's a button, there's a card. Okay, and the card, the custom CSS font awesome, which is totally fine. The footer CSS, the navbar for the desktop, navbar for the mobile, and the typography, which is totally fine. And if you right now we don't need this, I better close all. Okay, I close all. Also there is a custom CSS and there is an index. So into the index I have already loaded this custom CSS, right? I have already loaded that custom CSS. I have already checked it with using one of the background color. So for the reasons our background color is become changed, I don't want to actually add all that our CSS in here. You can also add it, but right now I want to add everything. I want to input all that our CSS in our this custom CSS. Then that will be actually better. So in our custom CSS here, I want to actually add input all. So that is a body. First of all, I want to input. Okay, I want to input with this @ and then the input. So okay, I want to input. I want to input first of all that our CSS class. Okay, one by one we have to add it. Like first of all there is a big slider, so I make it as a big slider like er.css. I simply load it, and also I want to input rest of all. Better I paste it. Okay, paste it. So there is a big slider, then the button, I make it as a button, button, button.css. I want to use that card. So, okay, card.css. I want to use that as a footer, footer.css, and then the mega menu.css, and then the nav. Okay, so that I want to use it as a nav menu desktop, nav menu desktop .css, and then the nav menu mobile.css, and then the typo, right? So I make it as a typo CSS. Perfect. So I simply loaded all that our CSS in here, and that is our class. So now automatically that will be gated all that our big slider, button, the card, the footer, the mega menu, get your spelling is correct, and then the nav mega, there is a nav menu desktop, and the nav menu mobile, right? Mobile.css, and the typo. Perfect. And here in that is custom CSS I have already included in input in our this index CSS. So that means automatically now that should be get all that our CSS. Okay, perfect. And for this project I also want to use some of the font. If you go to that Google, Google font, okay, Google fonts, I want to load some of the fonts. If you go to that Google fonts, and from here there is a lot of the you can see there's a Montserrat, so I want to actually also take some of the Montserrat. There is another is a roboto condensate, so that is also I want to take it. Okay, so rather than you can also search it. If you search with this here, automatically that will be loaded. So now I want to actually take this part, this one. So I select it, so that is our roboto condensate. Here I want to take that regular one. I select this style, automatically it will be create some of the links. So I add that as a regular 400, bold as a 700. Okay, I add that 700, and also 300 light. You can also take the 400 italic, bold italic. I don't need this, I only need that 400, and then 700. Okay, and also I take that as a 300. I take that 300, and if you go to that font again, and another one as a Montserrat, you can see there is a Montserrat. So if you can actually take it, rather than you can also search it in here as a Montserrat. You can see there is a Montserrat. So this Montserrat font I want to use it. So I select it, and for the Montserrat I want to take as a regular 400. I select it, regular 400 I want to take, regular 600 I want to take, regular bold as a 700 I want to take. Okay, and you can also take that 800. So that will be actually your all that font wide. Okay, so that is all that font wide if you want to use as a 800 font wide, the 700 font wide, then 400. Okay, so you can actually use it. So I have already take that 600 as well, which is totally fine. Okay, so now I want to put that link. So here you can see they have also one of the link as a for the font. Better I copy this font link. I simply copy it. I copy this font link, and now in our custom CSS here also I want to input that URL. You can also input it. Better I want to do now before this I want to input. So that will be as a @ and then input and input URL. Into this input URL area, here I want to pass out this link. So that is our HTTP, and here you can see there is a font family as a 2 font family. One is the Montserrat, and for the Montserrat I take all that our font wide as a 400, 600, 700, and the 800, and another font family as a roboto condensate, and that is for this I take 2, 1, 3. That is our 300, 400, and the 700. Okay, so I simply loaded this font. That means the Google font, whatever the font you actually choose, simply select this all that font, and then from here you have to take this link. So that is the link I simply loaded in our custom CSS, and this custom CSS I have already loaded in our index. So that means automatically that should be get this all that font. Okay, now click the save all, which is totally fine. Friend, right now that's all. Okay, right now that's all for our structure, that means CSS structure. So laterly whatever the things will be needed, we will actually create another CSS file in here. Okay, so right now it's perfect. So in our next video, I want to discuss about that animation. Okay, how can manage the animation. So in our e-commerce project, I want to use some of the animations. So into the animations, they have the two different type of animations. So how can install that animation? In our next video, I will show you that things with the live example. So thanks for watching. I will see you in the next video.